Happy Friday, everybody. I'm back to read Chapter 8. I almost said 7. Chapter 8, Big Discoveries of Grubtown Tales When Bunnies Turn Bad. What with the brand new duck display in the middle of the library and the trouble Tamsin Thwack had had with Garadab, Sean, and Mantle Fox earlier that day, you can see why the chief librarian immediately suspected that it was the duck-hating foxes who turned the library into a pile of rubble. Jilly Cheeter and Mango Claptrap weren't so sure. Knocking a building down is a bit much even for them, said Jilly. A loud sneeze could probably have knocked that place down, Mango pointed out. It's only plywood walls and a tin roof. But still. As it turned out, it didn't take long for Grabby Hansen to uncover the truth. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's a splendid chief of police. There had been no witnesses to the attack because back then the library closed for lunch every day, and every day Tamsin Thwack drove her staff in the library minibus and mobile dog grooming clinic to the Rusty Dolphin Cafe for a light lunch. But while he was picking through the wreckage of the scene of the crime, he noticed something attached to a telephone pole on the opposite side of the road. It glinted in the sunlight. He wandered over to investigate. It was a CCTV camera, and there appeared to be a phone number printed on the side. Grabby Hansen shinnied up the pole, and holding on tight with his knees, managed to take his mobile phone out of his pocket and to punch in the number. There he is, shimmying up the pole. The phone rang 3 times at the other end as he climbed back down, and then was answered by Far-Flung Heaps, marine biologist and head of our local angry mob. Yes, he said. The chief recognized his voice at once. Heaps? This is Chief Hansen, he said, brushing his knees of his trousers with his free hand. You've got a camera pointing at the library. Why? It's not actually pointing directly at Grubtown Library, Chief, Far-Flung Heaps explained. It's set up there to keep an eye on Jip and Binky's nesting site. Jip the pelican is Grubtown's official mascot, and Binky is his mate. They've already had one egg which didn't hatch, so we want to make sure no one's bothering them. Well, someone seriously bothered the library, said Grabby Hansen. It's been knocked down. What? Said Far-Flung Heaps, his voice switching tone from marine biologist to angry mob leader. I was planning to get a book out after work tomorrow. You heard me, said the chief of police. Someone has knocked the library down right in front of your CCTV camera. Isn't anyone watching the monitor? No, Chief. We simply record what the cameras see, then play it back if we want to find out what's happened during the day. Well, I certainly want to find out who did what to the library, said Chief Grabby Hansen. Can you fix that for me? Sure, Chief, said Far-Flung Heaps. I'll set it up for you right away. How soon can you get here? Where are you? Asked Grabby Hansen. He was back amongst the library wreckage now. He'd found a box of free library bookmarks and was busy stuffing his pockets full of them. In my new offices at the Grubtown Aquarium and Car Wash, said Far-Flung Heaps. Chief Hansen looked at his watch. I'll be there in 10 minutes, he said. When Far-Flung Heaps played the recording to the policeman, it didn't show the Fox family attacking the library. No, Jilly Cheeter and Mango Claptrap were right. The Fox family may be bad, but not in a knocking down a library kind of way. In fact, no humans had been responsible for such an act. Neither were the Grubtown rats, of course. The CCTV footage showed that, you guessed it, it was a horde of passing bunnies who'd done the dirty deed. Or a marauding gang of bunnies, as one of the local papers put it. There's the marauding gang of bunnies knocking the library down. Somehow, the library trashing bunny clip soon ended up on YouTube and has become a firm favorite with the Fox family, who particularly love the part where a bunch of bunnies, led by a big buck rabbit, drag Tamsin Thwack's papier-mâché duck outside and break it to pieces. For the weeks that followed the events in this Grubtown tale, Derek and Bunty Fox and their children watched the clip again and again. 2 of the boys, Mantle and Fastbuck, went around wearing t-shirts with them rabbits had the right written on mantles and idea, yeah, on fastbooks. There was even a rumor that the foxes built an effigy of one of the rabbits and worshipped it as a duck-hating god. But Bunty Fox has always denied this. With confirmation from an informative booth that Mango Claptrap's calculations about the ever-increasing number of bunnies were spot on, and with a trail of destruction which now included the mayor's knitted residence, the library, and numerous gardens, including Rumpus Corncrake's beloved vegetable patch, of course, the need to tackle the bunnies was now Grubtown's official #1 problem to be solved. Flabby Gomez declared a state of emergency, which involved all 3 members of the local police force wearing red armbands, his having to wear a special state of emergency hat, and calling an emergency special state of emergency meeting at the town hall for 4 p.m. that day. And there's Flabby Gomez in his state of emergency hat. Although as a citizen of Grubtown I was at the meeting, I had to be. I won't waste your time or mine telling you all about it because, like most special meetings at Grubtown Town Hall, there was rather a lot of talking and not much got done. Jilly Cheeter and Mango Claptrap, who'd been officially sworn in as members of the Special Bunny Task Force and now also wore red armbands, had noticed that Rumpus Corncrake hadn't been at the meeting, so decided to check that he was okay. When they arrived at his shack, which looked very different in daylight, they were greeted by the extraordinary sight of Clack the chimpanzee prancing around the outside of the house, being followed by a winding column of white rabbits. The retired Sunripe Raisin Man was sitting on an upturned bucket, tapping out time with his raisin-headed, silver-topped cane. He stood up when he saw the children. "Hi, Mr. Corncrake," said Mango Claptrap. "Hello," said Rumpus Corncrake, a large smile spreading across his oh-so-wrinkly raisin-like face. "Didn't Tie Pin come and collect Clack this morning like he said he would?" asked Jilly Cheeter, "and take him back to the old folks' home?" "Indeed he did," said Rumpus Corncrake, "but for some strange reason the chimp seems to have taken a shine to me, and he came straight back." "Funny that," said Mango Claptrap, looking the Sunripe Raisin Man straight in the eye. Yes," said the man, a little hesitantly. "Funny that." "It's amazing how the bunnies seem to like him so much," said Jilly Cheeter, watching the chimp. "They follow him like the rats in the Pied Piper of Hamelin," which, if you didn't know, is a story about a piper who can get rats and later children to follow him anywhere. "Amazing," agreed Rumpus Corncrake. "Mr. Corncrake?" said Mango Claptrap. "Yes, Mango?" "When did you get the job as a Sunripe Raisin Man? Was it about 3 years ago?" About then, yes," said Rumpus Corncrake. He sounded a little cautious. "Have you ever had a pet ape?" asked Mango Claptrap. Rumpus Corncrake looked taken aback. Jilly Cheeter looked puzzled. What was Mango Claptrap on about now? "It's just that you and Clack seem to get on so well that I was wondering whether you've ever owned a chimpanzee." "Well, when we were at Rapid Treacle's Magic Emporium earlier today, I saw a poster on the wall, and it told me 2 very interesting things I didn't know about the magician," Mango continued. "Firstly, the picture showed him wearing a mask with question marks all over it, making him look all the more mysterious and magical. And secondly, he had a chimpanzee next to him, dressed in clothes identical to his." The color seemed to drain from Rumpus Corncrake's wrinkled face. "Hang on, I get it," said Jilly Cheeter, who got it. "Didn't you tell us that before you got the job as the Sunripe Raisin Man you spent years being anonymous on stage? Because you don't really have an actor's face was what you said, Mr. Corncrake," Mango Claptrap added. "Wasn't it? And you couldn't really be much more anonymous than a magician hiding behind a mask," said Jilly Cheeter. She turned to Mango. "You're a genius," she told him. "Only if I'm right," said Mango Claptrap. Rumpus Corncrake sat back down on the upturned bucket with a thud. "Oh, you're right," he said. "I'm Rapid Treacle, or I was. Who'd want to see someone with a face like mine on stage? I'd frighten everyone in the front row. But your face was famous as the Sunripe Raisin Man, Mango Claptrap protested. No one was afraid of it then. That's because I was supposed to look as wrinkled as a dried and shriveled grape. I was supposed to be as close to a raisin as a man could be without a silly costume. But as anything else, no way. But what happened? Asked Jilly Cheeter. What made you abandon your magic act, your chimp, and those poor rabbits? Sniffles and Snuffles? I didn't abandon them. I took them with me. They were your stage rabbits? He nodded. Then how come your abandoned emporium has turned into the world's biggest bunny factory? Asked Mango Claptrap, and he proceeded to tell Rapid Treacle, the Sunripe Raisin Man, Rumpus Corncrake, what they'd found. But that's unbelievable. Terrible, shocking, said Corncrake when he'd finished. You mean that all these rabbits overrunning Grubtown are my fault? It doesn't make any sense. Perhaps Sniffles and Snuffles had had a few baby bunnies without you realizing. Ones you didn't know about, said Jilly Cheeter, and they got left behind when you went, and grew up to have babies of their own, said Mango Claptrap. Rumpus Corncrake's mouth hung open like a broken garbage bin. No, he groaned. What made you decide to disappear for real, Mr. Corncrake? Asked Mango Claptrap, or should that be Mr. Treacle? No, it's Corncrake. I used the name Rapid Treacle as a stage name when I hid my shame, my face, and became a masked magician. To start with, I loved being the center of attention, the star of my own show. Then as time went on, I got more and more depressed that I had all this recognition without daring to let anyone see for who I really was. In the end, it became too much, so I decided to quit halfway through a show and slunk away into the night with my bunnies. The Sunripe Raisin Man hung his head in shame, only now it turns out that I left some behind. What have I done? And that is the end of chapter 8. Now it's Friday, so I won't be here tomorrow to read to you. I'll be back Monday for chapter 9, Bunny, Bunny, Bunny. Have a great weekend. I hope the weather stays nice so you can get outside and ride your bikes and go for walks. I miss you all terribly, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.